I
I'm
know
gonna
they're
start
flipping the
recording.
script.
Yeah, okay. So that was actually the first thing that we were going to talk about was strategy. So, first question, what's your main grocery store? Is grocery outlet your main grocery store?
Yeah, that's where it's very convenient, and they have the meat and dairy that we normally eat. So yeah,
Okay.
when I
Eh,
need fancy vegetables or want better vegetables or need stuff that I can't get there, because you never know. You can get a lot of gourmet stuff, but you also had just random stuff you can't get.
mm,
Um, and you have to watch the expiration dates and stuff all the time. Then we'll
yep.
go like to Winco, but Winco's like 4 miles away. It's not. We're driving by it, and then Trader. So usually we go to grocery outlet, and if there's something I really need, um, that Trader Joe's will have, then I'll go to Trader Joe's because we get all our
Okay.
like nuts and we get random weird shit from Trader Joe's. But they don't have everything either,
Wow.
and we avoid
Uh,
Safeway like the plague.
Why?
That it is. It's a lot more expensive,
Okay. Yep.
and they I don't know, they for a long time they went down to only a couple cashiers, and everything was
Mm,
shelf checkout, and then they I don't know, stuff got weird during COVID, and
mm.
I just don't like going in there. So their produce is great, but it's spendier, and Winco, it's employee owned, it like they
Yeah.
have, so I prefer
Okay.
Winco. Oh,
And
and
for
they're
grocery outlet, what is the deal? Like, how do they get bulk
it's
discounts or like
over
how does that work?
a lot of times it's overruns or
Okay.
things, yeah, overruns of stuff and stuff that they do have some regular stuff they stock, so they carry Umpqua milk and dairy stuff,
Okay.
but then they'll have weird cheeses and things that you'll only see once. And then they'll have
Okay.
stuff that we'll buy, like sometimes we've gotten cheese and we're like, this looks really good. And then we'll be like, yeah, I see this was why this was on special. This isn't very good.
Oh no, okay. I always wonder because
Yeah.
like Marshalls and all them will have like, bagged food that's not expired, but I'm like, how did they get that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a lot of times I buy stuff that is close to expiration. It depends on the manager of the particular store to some degree because they're
Gotcha.
somewhat independent. So, yeah.
Okay. All right, Bob.
It's like the wild, wild west. You never know what you're getting.
Which makes
But
things
they'll,
hard to plan, right?
yeah, well, they have some consistent stuff, and they tend to have some of the gluten-free stuff because
Okay.
it isn't because it's wacky, right? So people sometimes don't want to buy it, so it'll be getting close to expiration, or maybe the bag wasn't marked like the barcode's messed up, or we I've gotten things where the packaging doesn't open correctly. It's
Mm,
sealed, it's not a health issue, but there was something was whack with it.
okay. All right. And if
So
you have a
it's
little
not for
extra
everyone.
patience, it's
It's
like
not
that
for everyone.
ugly
And
produce. Did you ever see those boxes?
yes, we used to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
that for a
yeah.
long time. Yeah.
You just have a little extra patience.
Yeah.
Okay. And Bob, what's
Uh,
your grocery store?
Well, my main grocery store is Fred Meyer Tualatin.
mm-hmm.
Although, like 2 or 3 years ago, I first discovered Walmart's and started doing some Walmart shopping. There's a Walmart not too far from me. And so some things I'll buy at Walmart. Um, if they've got what I want, it's usually, a much better price there at Walmart. Uh, but I also, in the olden days, maybe 15, 20 years ago, I mean, Safeway was always my go-to
Yeah, us
store.
too.
But it's yeah, my local Safeway just is it's just so much different than it was back then. It's just not there. It seems like every time I go in there, there are long checkout lines and the
Mm-hmm.
aisles are very narrow and expensive and so it used to be my go-to place, but that was quite a while ago.
Yeah, I feel like
For sure.
this last merge kind of just with Albertsons just yeah.
Yeah. So we kind of just go to either, yeah, Fred Meyer, Albertsons, or Safeway, whatever's the closest, right? But for us here, we usually order most of our like non-perishables and stuff like that from Walmart so that we can just grab and go, and it saves us a ton of time in terms of like having to shop. But then we will come get our produce because Walmart does not have very good produce, and I do not trust other people to pick out my produce. So we'll go to like Albertsons or Sprouts if we're feeling fancy. The prices are pretty similar for produce between Sprouts and Albertsons, but Albertsons has more other things. So if you need to get like a couple meats or something too, we'll come to Albertsons. But so that was going to be my next question. Do you both go into the store?
During COVID, I we did do some shopping, have them deliver.
Hmm.
And during the summer, sometimes I'll do a CSA, so produce magically shows that. But yeah, we usually go get it.
Okay.
It just, yeah. Again, I like picking my own produce. So if I'm going to do that, I might as well just get the rest of it.
Yes.
And I
Except we
drag
buy
Harold
two
with
weeks
me.
at a time. So we buy like $400 worth of
Oh,
groceries.
gotcha.
You know
Okay.
what I mean? Yeah, yeah. So it saves us so much time. The couple times that we like haven't been able to place an order, oh my gosh, I'm like, dude, this is awful.
Well, and we're weird. I think so. My mother did a lot of like very much shopping ads and that kind of stuff. And I don't do that as much, but
Mm-hmm.
there are some big staples that I'll often buy when we occasionally go to Costco, or if sometimes I go to the chef store because I can get huge vats of the gluten-free soy sauce
Ooh.
and salsa and rice. And it's, yeah, so it's for some of the things that are harder for me to get. And if I'm, but then I'll go to H Mart, 4 times a year to get Asian stuff,
Love H
and
Mart.
God forbid we go into Buy Mart, then I'll check, and a lot of times I'll have peanut butter on sale, and yeah, it's just random.
Very eclectic.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and we used to shop a lot more. So when I was with Chris, we shopped at Costco all the time, but we always
Mm-hmm.
had people coming over, and there was always people coming through the house and stuff. And with Harold, at some point we gave up the Costco membership because it's the two of us, and
Yeah.
we buy too much to begin with. But he renewed his Costco card because gas prices, it was cheaper to get. It was easier for him to go buy Costco to get gas. And so we
Mm-hmm.
periodically go in there, and yeah, they have some good stuff.
Like
But
toiletries and stuff for sure.
olive oil,
Okay.
pies. Yeah, just
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I actually get my toilet paper. That is the one thing I do have shipped.
Okay.
We do the recycled, who gives a crap?
Okay.
And um, so I don't know. I get panicky when I don't have toilet paper.
Yeah. Okay.
That whole COVID thing.
Yeah. Right. Random winter storms. Bob, what about you? You go into Fred Meyer usually?
Yes, I've never done either a delivery thing or a store pickup thing.
Okay.
Um, it's always been I walk in and do my own shopping. Uh,
Okay.
Now, speaking of Costco, actually, up until just a couple of years ago, I actually did quite a bit of my grocery shopping at Costco. Still do some, but not as much.
Okay. What made you change that?
I think part of it was just dietary changes. Some of
Okay.
the staples for me that I used to always buy, I was getting there at Costco. Uh, I just don't eat those particular things much as I used to. I do, buy a lot of snacks at Costco,
Hmm.
other
Yeah.
sausage sticks stuff that I eat all the time, and other types of snacks.
Yeah. We used to shop at Costco growing up because there were six of us, right? So that was definitely like a buy in bulk type of
Yeah.
situation. But then after that, like once it was just me and Capo, it was just toiletries, paper towels, toilet paper, that sort of thing. So yeah, for sure.
Their
Figured
stuff's
that out.
really good, but it's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll last like 6 months. All right, cool. So let's talk strategy next. So Bethany, you mentioned something about a perimeter. So
Yeah.
how do you approach a grocery store?
Well, I like to go to a grocery store I know.
Okay.
I hate it when they rearrange things and I hate going into a new one. I don't like grocery shopping to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually take my husband and my bags and we do the perimeter and then we'll go into the middle for anything else we need. But we'll start with the produce or the meat and then just grab because I'll have a list. That's the other thing is I almost always have a list because I have Harold with me. Then sometimes he has his own magical list of things that just appear, but he's bagging the groceries, so you know that's fine.
Okay, absolutely. And so just in case anyone's going to go back and rewatch this, what is your main reason for primarily shopping the perimeter?
Um, I cook, so I want raw ingredients. So I want produce and I want meat, and so those are and dairy. So those are the things that I'm mainly buying, and then any staples that I might need from the would that would be in the center. So oats or but I don't need those all the time. I only need specific things. I don't really need to go through everything. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
awesome. So I love it. So the two things that I heard for sure were list. I love
yeah,
that because that usually comes with some sort of meal planning idea, right? A general idea
yeah.
of what you're going to get. And hopefully ingredients that you can use all of or with multiple recipes or whatever, right? And then also shopping the perimeter because that's more of those raw ingredients. So as we know, the middle aisles are going to be like the frozen foods or the, canned foods, shelf stable foods and stuff like that. So that's where a little bit more of the preservatives, etc. are. We'll take a look at
Hmm.
actual nutrition labels. So I love that. Okay. What about you, Bob? Do you have a strategy when you go into a store?
I don't actually write out lists as much as I used to.
Okay.
I, I still will occasionally do a list if there's a few items that I don't think I'm going to remember. But when I do go into a store, I first of all I always do have a mental list. I know what I need to buy,
Hmm.
um, and basically I don't browse through the store. I just go to those spots where I need to go to get what I need. Usually, almost always nowadays, I start in the produce section and get any produce that I need, and then I'll just kind of from there move over to maybe the frozen food section or canned goods section or whatever else I need. But yeah, and I don't, yeah, it really annoyed me the last time my local Fred Meyer rearranged the whole store. It just really ticked me off. It took me a while to figure out where everything was.
Hmm. Or when you go to the same store, but it's a different version and everything's like backwards. So let's talk a little bit about one of the things that I'm hearing is that both of you kind of have your staples. You have what you have planned. Maybe you're eating the same foods, buying the same foods over and over. So I think that helps a lot with like reducing impulsivity, right? That's a big piece of this. So what are some impulse pieces of a grocery store? And I'm going to switch my camera. So this can be popcorn, whoever wants to join in. What are the places that you should be careful of, maybe in a grocery store?
Oh, for me, probably the chip aisle. For
Okay.
Harold, it's both good and bad, but the whole ice cream area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we normally buy ice cream, but yeah, we have to have some thought behind what we're getting.
Absolutely. Bob, what about you?
For me, I should try to avoid the candy aisle and the ice cream.
Okay.
Um, and there was something else I was just thinking of. Oh, well, one day I just happened to be walking by a a cabinet full of um, things like cinnamon rolls. Those, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
um, and so yeah, that's kind of I've been buying those when I should buy those. Something else I should mention is my local Fred Meyer. I end up making frequent trips. Yes, and that's probably one of the reasons I don't rely on lists so much anymore. Is I'm twice a week I drive right by it because of
Oh,
other things in my schedule. I'm going right by it twice a week, and so it's very convenient for me to just stop by and grab something.
Okay. Now, do you think that increases or reduces impulsivity that you're going more often, if it affects it at all?
Either no effect or maybe a slight increase. It doesn't
Okay.
decrease it.
Okay. For sure. Oh yeah, and that. Oh yeah, and that, right? Now, the reason that I am scanning the section here is, obviously we have a lot of like displays and end caps and stuff like that.
mhm.
Those are definitely designed to get you. So that's one of those things that we want to make sure that we're careful of because most of the time it's going to be like the big name brands and they have the most money to be able to put it on the end cap, right? Or they're trying to get rid of it, so they're putting it on sale, so they're putting it in front of your face so that you're more likely to impulsively shop for it. So that's one. Aisles is another one, or not aisles, excuse me, checkout aisles themselves is another one,
Mhm.
right? It's definitely designed to get you. Are you ever guilty of either of those?
Oh yeah, especially when we're traveling, by the cashier is not, yeah.
Hmm. It's
You're
almost like a
on
gas
vacation,
station,
you have
right?
vacation brain. You're
Yes.
thinking, yeah, you're like, oh, I'll just treat myself. So be careful of that.
Yeah. And I think they put new products on caps a lot too. And you're like, ooh, what's that? You know what I mean? And it'll usually be on sale. What about you, Bob?
I usually don't end up picking up things right at the, checkout counter, or I guess I'm not influenced too much by that.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah. That definitely took some practice for me. I think that I've gotten better, but yeah, that definitely used to get me. So this is the front of the store too, right? They always have a section where they're doing like some specials and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Another thing that's kind of interesting, which sounds a little bit weird to think about, but most stores have like coupons and stuff, right? And most of those coupons, if you're not already planning on buying the thing, also increases that impulsivity, right? You're like, oh, but it's on sale. Or sometimes they'll give you points and then something's free. And I'm like, well, I have to get it because it's free. Like, you know what I mean? So that's a little bit sneaky too. So those are things that we all want to be looking for. And obviously sales are good. We all like things to be inexpensive, but just keeping an eye on like your list and making sure that it's still what you want it to be, not necessarily what they're trying to sell you as a huge piece.
I will say for Grocery Outlet and Winco, it's kind of interesting because a lot of times the stuff that is on sale is up front. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times it's not like Winco is a combination of impulse stuff and staples. And so they'll usually have a refrigerator case with a meat special. And then they'll have like canned stuff, which is that's on sale. And a lot of times it's going to be beans or vegetables as you
Yes.
walk in. There'll be some other stuff too that's not as good for you. And then Grocery Outlet has any big produce stuff that they can outside. So right now they've got bags of potatoes, but in the fall it was pumpkins and squashes. It was, yeah, it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
It's different.
And especially during the fall, you're like, oh, pumpkin
Ah,
season. You know what I mean? Like,
impulse
I
buy a
should
squash.
probably. Even when you go with good intentions in a plan. So those are really good examples. Absolutely. So let's go ahead and talk, since we're in the produce section, let's talk a little bit about produce. So obviously there are lots of different versions of produce that you can buy. Let's talk fruits and vegetables. Well, let's talk fruits first. I think that's probably going to be the easiest one. How often are you buying your fruits? And how much like volume, and what does that process look like for you? Again, popcorn,
Well,
whoever wants to answer.
yeah, we usually buy stuff once a week. We usually try to get one or two things. We're not huge fruit eaters, so it
Okay.
depends on what's in season. But like right
Mm-hmm.
now, we're buying bananas, and then I grab some kiwi because I like kiwi, and it just depends. Like last few months, it's been citrus because it's coming in from South America. Yeah.
Okay. Bob, what about you?
Um, I tend to buy fruit more in the summertime or in the warm months.
Mm.
I don't buy very many different fruits. I'll buy cuties like I see right there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'll buy apples. Um, Sometimes during the summer, I find myself buying red grapes, seedless grapes.
Mm.
Okay.
Uh, but I typically would not buy them, throughout the year. Uh, and so sometimes I'm pretty good about eating some fruit every single day, but then there are periods of time when I might go for a few weeks without eating it. So it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of hit or miss.
Okay.
Sometimes we splurge because it's fruit. Like
Yeah.
we give ourselves permission to spend more. So if something looks really nice, even though it's maybe not the best price. So occasionally, I might uh, buy something that probably is a little expensive, but we don't care. um, and then we do buy from local farms and stuff seasonally. So like we'll buy a big box of apples at the end of in the fall, that kind of thing. So we're
That's
lucky.
awesome. We used to do the Portland Farmers Market, and they had a lot of really awesome local produce there. We really, really liked that. So one thing that we did that was kind of fun for a while is we went into, like you were saying, something special, even if it's a little expensive. We went to the grocery store and tried to pick a fruit that we had never heard of. So once a week, we would
Oh,
try a brand
cool.
new fruit. And that was a fun little experiment. I don't know if we like introduced any of them on a more regular basis because they were usually like random tropical fruits and stuff, but that was a fun thing to kind of experience. And then something that we do, because again, we are buying every 2 weeks, is I actually parse out our produce, specifically our fruit, depending on how long I want it to take. Right. So like raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, they don't last long, very even in the fruit, right? We're talking like 3 to 5 days max. And so then sometimes we'll also get blueberries because those ones last a little bit longer. Sometimes I will get my bananas super green, so those can wait until week 2. When our apples start to go like really, really ripe, then we'll start sticking them in the fridge. That's something that's brand new that we started doing maybe 5 years ago. We never refrigerated our fruit before. Do you guys refrigerate your fruit?
Yeah, when it gets too
Yeah.
ripe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we started to do that where we could like cycle through it. Cuties are a really great one too that lasts a really, really long time. And so then I'll basically pick it based off of like timeline, as weird as that
No,
sounds.
I do that with
Yeah.
vegetables too.
Yes, yes. And so then if you're doing something fresh like a salad, right? Then you probably only
Hmm.
want to buy like a couple days worth of lettuce. You can't buy 2 weeks worth or a week worth or anything like that.
But the broccoli and the Brussels sprouts and the cabbage will last. So we go through a lot of
Ah,
cabbage because it lasts.
yes, absolutely. I love that. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about as well, and this will kind of tie into produce, but we'll also address it again when we get to the other sections, is going to be like preparedness. Now, Bethany, I know that you guys do a lot of your own cooking. Do either of you pick foods that are already like produce, let's say, that's already like chopped up, or like the fruits that's chopped up, or the like the little salad kits or anything like that? Do you guys do any of those?
Yeah, okay. So if Harold is doing his own lunch, because
Hmm.
he does not cook. He'll buy salad kits.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll do it occasionally, but it would usually be if we're going to an event and we want to have a fruit tray, or if we're going home that night and cook, and rather than eating out, we grab something that I don't have to do as much prep on.
Okay. Love that.
But it's not all the time. It just varies.
Bob, what about you?
I've never bought any kind of pre-cut, fruit assortment or anything like that. I do
Okay.
get salad kits occasionally. Well, kits, actual kits. Sometimes I buy these Costco salad kits. Um, at Fred Meyer, I'll buy these green salad bags that I don't know why
Yeah.
they call it a kit because I mean it doesn't come with the croutons and the dressing and the other stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but it is more than just lettuce in it. It's also got carrot shavings and something
Like
else,
little cabbage or something like that, right?
purple
Yeah.
cabbage stuff. Yeah, I do
Yeah.
buy those pretty regularly.
Well, and I like those if I'm by myself because I'm getting more. If I bought them individually, they'd go bad. Like I wouldn't be able to finish
Yeah.
them, but I can get, something that's got a mix of kale, like three different things in it rather than just one thing.
Absolutely. That's two really great points. One is, sometimes the bag stuff is going to be a better portion size. So just depending on what you're making, you won't have a whole cabbage head or whatever that's going to go bad. So that's one piece. And then just making cooking itself easier. So some of my favorite ones that we do occasionally are like going to be, these little stir fry kits and stuff like that, where everything's already chopped up and already combined. And some of these are even literally microwavable. And the main reason that I suggest this is to people is a lot of people have a hard time getting in the kitchen and chopping up produce. And so they use that as a reason as to why they're not eating vegetables, right? And so if that's literally your only, excuse or reason, if you just spend a little extra money and you get it already prepared, that just chops your prep time at least in half, if not more. You know what I mean? And then the other one that I really, really like is the little spring mixes. Do you guys ever get these little boxes or bags?
Hmm.
Do you have a favorite one, Bethany?
No, because Harold doesn't like spinach or kale or anything like that. So
Yeah, that makes
he's
it
so
harder.
awful. At least he likes Brussels sprouts and all those things. But my dad would get those all the time because
Yeah.
then he could, have it with lunch or dinner. It just was, yeah, it was easier.
And some of them do have like a decent amount of, lettuce in there and stuff, because I know a lot of it is
Hmm.
like more greeny greens. But yeah, some of them do have a decent amount of lettuce in there and stuff. But some of my favorite ones, I don't know if you guys can see these ingredients. Some of my favorite ones have like these awesome mixes of different greens and stuff. And both
Yeah.
of you were there when we were doing the gut microbiome stuff. Like
Hmm.
it's all about diversity, right? So the more number of different things that you can eat, the better. And I remember I found a salad mix that had like 14 different kinds of greens. I'm like, 14 check boxes, you know what I mean? Like, so like these are really, really great for that diversity piece, if that's something that you're interested in. And it's something that you can just use as garnish too. Like sprinkle a little extra salad on top of whatever you're eating. I used to call it put a
That's a
salad
cute
on
idea.
it. And like sometimes it's not great, but like a lot of the time it's not that bad to just put some extra lettuce on top. I mean, I'll
Actually,
admit
that's
some.
a really cool idea, especially when we don't like the same things. If I had something like that on the
Oh,
side, then I could stuff it, into whatever, either
yes.
just put my food on top or put it on top. And
And like bare minimum, you can just throw it in a bowl and throw some dressing on top and have a side salad. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
makes it super easy to add. And then all of these kits, like obviously there's a ton of different options and stuff. Sorry guys, I keep pushing the wrong button. There's a ton of different options and stuff like that. So just depending on like what, maybe your other person in the house is willing to eat, then we have a lot of different ways that you can put it together. But these are really great for like, yeah, just staple extra ingredients. So I really, really like those. Okay, beautiful. So let's move into a little bit more of the produce section next. So what are some of your like staple vegetables that you're usually including in the foods that you're making?
Um, Sweet onions and green onions,
Nice.
mushrooms, peppers, like sweet peppers. Some potatoes and sweet potatoes, but I don't get them all the time. And I'm trying to think what else. Usually some lettuce, cabbage, broccoli. We eat a lot of broccoli and Brussels sprouts.
Oh, yes. Love those as sides. Can I ask about the potatoes? You said you don't find them very often. Is that just based off of your
No, I don't buy
recipes
them
or you?
all the time. So
Okay.
we eat a lot of rice. We it's usually rice, potatoes and pasta, and then
Mhm.
sweet potatoes or squash less often. And
Okay.
so I try not to um, constantly be eating. I grew up with a family that was very meat and potatoes with lots of vegetables, but very meat and
Mm-hmm.
potatoes. And so I try to vary that out more. And of course, I'm not eating a lot of regular bread. We don't eat any wheat flour. So then I'm still getting rice. Like my pasta is rice, although sometimes I use chickpea. And then my breads are usually more nut flours and rice flours. And we eat corn too. So I'll do polenta occasionally. It's a little more work. So
Yeah. Great. Bob, what about you? What are your staples?
In terms of vegetables, I baby carrots. I like
mhm.
those. I eat baby carrots basically every day for lunch is part of my lunch. Um, and then the other three things that I pick up and typically will chop up and mix into various meals are red bell peppers, green onions, and something else. The other thing.
Celery?
Yes, celery.
Yeah,
Nice,
that's what I
good
heard
call.
say celery. Kind of the
I,
trifecta.
and there's a whole ton of other vegetables that I won't get anywhere near. I don't touch them. No, nothing. It's basically those that I just mentioned. One of my favorite vegetables is not a vegetable, corn. I'll eat canned corn. Once in a blue moon, I might pick up some corn on the cob.
Mm.
Throw it on the barbecue.
I also
That's
will
the
eat
jam.
canned green beans. I have a particular style of green beans that I will eat. But yes, on the barbecue for the corn on the cob. Yep.
That's so
Okay.
But
funny because I love fresh green beans, but there's something from my childhood about canned green beans. Like I don't eat them hot. I don't cook them. But like
Oh,
as part of like a salad or just yeah, I don't know what it is, or I'll just eat them plain.
just raw?
Well, they're not raw, they're cooked, they're canned, so they're
Okay,
good.
okay, okay.
Yeah. I just don't heat them up.
something else about carrots is I can't stand cooked carrots.
Ah,
Raw carrots,
interesting.
raw carrots, good. Cooked carrots, yeah, mushy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're probably not going to like this next section yet, but I'm going to show you my favorite section for potato substitutes. So things
Ah,
like
rutabagas and
rutabaga,
turnips.
radishes, turnips. Have you guys done any of those as substitutes for any of your potato-based products?
Parsnips. We do parsnips when
Yes.
they're in season. Turnips and rutabagas, eh.
Okay.
I'll put them in soup if I'm bored,
Yes, I was gonna say when we
like
put it
veggie
in
soup.
something, it's usually something that has a lot of flavor already. So you can't really taste the difference, but you still get that consistency, right? Like a curry or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Okay.
don't eat, I don't eat much in the way of potatoes at all. But
Hmm.
occasionally I'll have like scallop potatoes or potatoes au gratin out of a box, box.
Mhm.
I don't know if I've ever purchased. Well, something that I used to do fairly frequently is I would cook myself up a meal of a feast of roast beef with roast potatoes and gravy.
Oh, yum.
That's
Mm-hmm.
that's about the only time I've ever purchased like raw potatoes is to bake them or to roast them along with roast beef. Uh, Other than that, I don't really buy potatoes.
Okay. Okay. So something you mentioned earlier, we talked about canned vegetables. So how do we in general feel about canned, frozen, fresh?
Fresh is going to have the most nutrition, but frozen's not bad at all. And then canned, it lasts forever. You just, yeah.
Yeah, my feeling is I guess the canned is, better than nothing, but
Hmm.
barely. Uh, but uh,
Yeah, it
yeah,
doesn't taste as good yeah, there's few exceptions of things that I might get, but
and like the canned beans that I eat, I'm sure it's probably full of sodium. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's
Yeah,
the
so
can
that's a good point. Oh,
there's
go ahead.
the canned corn that I will eat the next aisle up into that summer crisp Del Monte
Ah, okay, okay. All
corn
right,
that I
let's see. We're gonna look at
sweet
label.
corn.
All right, what are we looking at here? 3 servings, half cup each. I do have a resource too. I know both of you have done some extensive, what you call it, label reading, but I do have a resource that I can send over as well. So 70 calories per serving. Bob, we have this conversation a lot.
yeah
How
one
much of a
one
can do you
one
eat?
one can is one serving for me.
Okay, yep.
Hmm.
So times three.
Same here.
Okay, okay. 15 carbs, again, times three. 270 milligrams of sodium. So that's about 12%. So 36% for each whole can, right? 8 grams of sugar, but no added sugars. Okay, let's talk about why
It's
that's important.
sweet corn.
What's the difference between a sugar and an added sugar?
Well, the sugar's in the product, the vegetable.
Mhm.
They didn't add it to the can.
It's like naturally occurring, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah. And why is that potentially better?
because it's a natural sugar. I don't know.
Yeah.
You want to keep your sugars down, but you also like if I get sugar from a piece of fruit or the corn, it's healthier.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Totally.
probably healthier because it comes along with the fiber or whatever else is.
Hmm.
But once it's in your body, the body doesn't really know the difference, does it? But when it breaks down the sugars or the carbohydrates into sugars, I mean, it can't tell whether it came from
To some
sugar, or
extent, that's a really good question. So to some extent, so fructose is actually proven to not have as high of a blood sugar like spike. So things like fruit and stuff like that isn't going to spike you quite as severely, and it's not going to come down quite as hard. Versus an added sugar is going to be a lot more severe of a blood sugar spike, and so that can actually make a big difference over the long term.
yeah.
Hmm.
So it is slightly different. Yeah. Good question. Okay, so we say raw first. Frozen is not bad. It actually maintains about 90 to 95% of the original nutrients. So that's awesome. It's usually some sort of like blanched and what's it called? Fast frozen? There's a word for it.
Flash,
Freeze dried. Oh,
Flash. Yeah,
flash bro.
flash frozen. Exactly. Perfect. And so it's usually flash frozen. They typically don't add anything to it, but you do have to watch for that because every once in a while they'll try and add like seasonings or juices, something to it, or whatever. But most of the canned stuff is going to be the same basic idea, but sometimes they will add salt to it. So that's something that we want to keep our eyes open for. But you can get like non-salted versions. Do you guys do any like low sodium, no sodium?
We don't eat a whole lot of sodium.
Okay. So yeah, anytime there's that option, it's becoming a lot more common now, low sodium or no sodium. I would definitely suggest picking that because then you get to pick how much salt you put in it or if you put salt in it at all. If you didn't put salt in something that probably needs it, what is an alternative? What else can you do to help flavor something?
Oh, you mean like putting in herbs or something?
Yeah, absolutely. Herbs and spices, for sure. Anything else?
Vinegar, mayo, but then you get all your
Mm,
salt again.
okay. And a little fat.
Stuff like
Same
that.
with like hot sauce too, right? Some of them will be a little less high in sodium. So yeah, you can definitely do something like that. But yeah, herbs and spices are my favorite because you can spice up something with so many different like taco seasonings and stuff like that. We barely use salt at all. And you can put so much like chili, whatever in there that like it tastes super duper good. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think it really varies by person. I know that some people are really affected by salt
Mm.
and some people aren't. And it just seems to be your DNA or something.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's one of those things too where it may make the difference over the long term, right? So even if it's short term where you're not seeing the effects, maybe your, numbers haven't gone up or anything like that, continuing to eat a ton of salt. But that's the same thing too, right? If you're not eating a lot of like processed foods, then more than likely you're not eating that much salt either. You know what I mean? Because that's the biggest thing that I think it's in is in processed foods for the most part. Yes, some people will salt the crap out of their foods, but generally speaking, it's because they're eating more processed foods than it. Okay. So let's talk really quick about health halos. Have you guys heard that term before?
What was the term?
Health halo.
Uh-uh.
Okay, so it's basically something on a label that makes it look healthier, even though it may or may not be.
Mm.
So I'm going
Okay,
to
I
show
haven't heard
you
that before. Yeah.
the broths here, and I want you to point out which one you think looks the healthiest.
Well, I'm gonna say the Pacific tries to be the healthiest, although they sold out
Uh-huh.
because they've got
Uh-huh.
usually do organic and I don't know if they have low sodium, but they used to do organic stuff.
Absolutely. And some of the organic stuff is legit, right? There's actually like stipulations that they need in order to be able to claim that, but they will still do a lot of things. Like, here's a great example. Let me see this. Plant-based.
Plant-based.
It's vegetable broth. Of course it's plant-based. What? Like that's just
I see that
you're
with gluten-free stuff that I'm like, there would never be gluten in here. Like, what are you talking about?
you're like, oh, tortilla chips are gluten-free? No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
So they do stuff like that. Yeah, go ahead.
most of the candy I eat is healthy candy because it has no
Oh,
fat.
there we go.
No fat, fat
I
free.
bet
It
it
must
has
be,
some added sugar though, right?
I don't know. Can you
I-
call it added when it's all sugar? Is it still called added sugar?
oh,
What
oh,
do you
got it.
what do you
Okay.
add it? What do you add it to?
All sugar. But that's something that you see a lot too, is lots of Pacific is actually a really great example. Lots of brands that want to look healthier will use greens and browns, like really earthy tones. And that just kind of brings your eye to that product in particular. And you're like, oh, it's a green box. It's probably healthier, right? So that's something that they try and do a lot too. But there's a lot of versions of this. Have you guys watched Super Size Me Too?
I
No.
saw the first one, but not the second one.
So basically, what he does, short of the long, is he creates his own restaurant and he tries to see how much stuff he can get away with while still being like free range and organic and stuff like this. It's terrible. But one of the things that he does is tries to figure out what free range chickens need. And so apparently, all he had to do was open up a couple doors, build this little baby fence, and allow them to be able to access the outside. But they were all fattened chickens and just sat and didn't move at all. So I was like, this is ridiculous. So there are a lot of claims like that that don't mean a whole lot and don't actually have a lot of merit behind them. So we just have to make sure that we're like looking at the labels and stuff like that more than like just what the product is, because marketing is so good at their job, unfortunately, you know? Have you guys ever gotten duped that you can remember or think of?
I don't know. I know the whole chicken thing, but my friend Tanya is all about chickens, so
Hmm.
all of that was explained.
One of the ones that I can think of is I think we bought like a bottle of wine or something like that, and Calpo bought one that said that it was like 30% less calories or something like that. And then we looked at all the ingredients and it was just watered down. It was the exact same wine and they just added water. And I'm like,
Ew.
yeah, okay. I guess technically that also counts. But
Something that I mentioned to you recently that I've heard about was chocolates and
mm,
things being chocolate flavored and may not actually have any cocoa, at all in it, may not truly be chocolate based. And Reese's Pieces, the Hershey company was recently under pressure because they were fiddling around with the formula after they bought Reese's. They were fiddling around with the Reese's Pieces formula and stuff and making it chocolate flavored instead of having real cocoa in it. And there was a lot of pushback, so they actually changed back to the real stuff. But I think I've been probably fooled by that. I pick up a chocolate bar or something
Yeah,
like that. Something might be actually just chocolate flavored without any official chocolate.
I'm sure I have too. Yeah.
here's an interesting one. So we were talking about the frozen foods and how they have extra stuff in it. So all natural, boneless, skinless chicken wings, chicken thighs contains up to 15% chicken broth, salt, natural flavoring,
Hmm.
whatever natural flavoring means, right? And then Bob, you and I have this conversation a lot. Let's talk about sodium in frozen foods. Tell me what
Mm.
you remember.
I don't remember details, but I mean, I bet you there's a lot of added sodium to those.
Hmm. Especially anything with breading, right? And that's one thing too. Do you guys have an air fryer? I have not gotten one yet, but I kind of want to.
I
Kind of. I have an oven, a separate oven that does uh air frying and but it does other things as well. So it's not as
Ooh.
purist as an air fryer. It does okay as an air fryer. Um,
So
I do
here's
a
a
lot of
good
just roasting
example.
stuff in the oven.
Oh, I love that actually. And that makes it easier because then you can just let it sit. You know what I mean? You don't have to do a whole lot like when you put it on pan or anything like that. So my sister was actually just talking about this the other day. She was asking about like chicken breasts and stuff like that. So this is just a normal boneless, skinless chicken breast. And of course, in order to be able to keep it good, they have to add some type of like sodium. They pump with water. So this one
Hmm.
has 220 milligrams, about 10% in a 4 ounce serving, which is pretty close to a single serving, right? 4 to 6 ounces or so. But yeah, they have to add that. And obviously, in like the normal chicken, it's just chicken. So that's something to keep an eye on. But again, just like the vegetables, if you're going to eat it or not eat it, because it's more convenient, then just get that one. That's really fine.
I agree. Yeah, because I like getting, I'll break down a chicken and do stuff, but I have to have time. I'm doing
Yes.
it now because I'm not working. But
Mhm.
when I was working, it was, yeah, didn't
And
always,
like
it just used to
rotisserie
not.
chicken, that's a really good example too. Like, yeah, they
Hmm.
added some extra flavors and, seasonings and stuff like that, but it's so easy to prepare that if it comes between that and you eating like fast food or something that's like actually frozen, it's probably still gonna be a better option. You know what I mean? So it's just about
Yes.
being realistic for sure. So we only have about 5 minutes left. So one thing that I wanted to make sure I addressed, because Serena had asked about this, was what's considered high protein. So do you guys have an example for that? And then what we're going to do is actually look at a couple of protein bars.
I don't know about protein bars, but I have found out that chicken is high protein compared to beef.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And um and then beans and rice actually does okay. It's
Mm-hmm.
not great, or it's not as much as chicken, but it does all right. I was
Awesome.
fried all the things. My
Bob,
protein
anything for you?
struggles.
I
My
guess
protein.
I normally think of when I think of protein, I normally think of, meats, red
Hmm.
meat,
Mhm.
mm, things like that. But it's kind of interesting. I have been seeing news stories over the past couple of months about how everybody's putting protein in everything, protein Doritos, protein Diet Cola or whatever, they're putting protein in just everything. It's the new buzzword that everything's got to have protein.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's just like when vegan was popular, right? Just because it has protein in it doesn't necessarily mean it's just because it's vegan doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy, right?
Hmm.
So that's important. And these are just like this big So that's something
Well,
to
and
keep in
I
mind for sure.
find I don't like protein powder and I don't like smoothies. And yeah, it's just a pain
Hmm.
sometimes.
And that makes it harder to supplement if you don't like most of the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So generally speaking, when it comes to like supplements, protein bars, etc., plant-based is obviously going to be lower than like whey. But like for me, for example, I am lactose intolerant, and so I actually have a negative effect to even whey protein. So I usually do like the pea. There's pea
Hmm.
protein, rice protein, stuff like that. So usually you're not going to get as good of a protein content, unfortunately, with like a vegan version, unless you need it, or if you're vegan or anything like that. So the whey protein ones, especially for supplementing, are going to be the best options. But one of the rules that I heard that was actually pretty decent and pretty close to it is a 1 to 10 ratio. So, for example,
Oh,
this
interesting.
Quest bar has 20 grams of protein in it. And so, what you want to look at is how many calories it has, and is that a 1 to 10 ratio to the grams of protein? Pretty close, right?
Mm.
About 210, 200. So that one's close, right? But if we were just judging between like to get the most value for our protein, then we want something that's a little bit higher. So let's see if I can find another one that is, let's see. Oh, here's a good example. Okay. It's a donut. I used to eat a lot of this crap. So it's a donut, but it's 160 calories for 20 grams of protein still. And so you're
Oh,
actually getting more like bang for your buck, right? Because we have a higher ratio. But don't expect that, unfortunately, again, out of plant-based products. Let's see if we can find a couple plant-based products. Because most of those, because they're naturally occurring, are going to be closer to like max 14. This one is, yeah, this one's 4 grams. That's like nothing. I eat these all the
mhm.
time. They're awesome. And one of the main reasons that they even have protein supplements is because, like we talked about earlier, not everybody eats a ton of real food, unfortunately, right? And so they
Mhm.
have to have something so that you're still getting protein in so it can support your muscle. That's the biggest thing. Why protein is so big right now is because the muscle is actually coming up, which is awesome. We love that. But if you're not lifting, then you don't actually need as much protein either, right? So that's a little bit tricky. But this one is Aloha. I eat these sometimes. Oh, 14 grams of protein. That's not too bad for a plant-based one. The 240 calories, right? So the ratio is just unfortunately with a plant-based very not.
Well, and I can see for Serena being a mom, like you've got to have constant snacks on the go because you never know what's going to
Mm-hmm.
hit you. And
Absolutely.
and then also you got to feed the kid, right?
Yeah.
They're
And
hungry all
that's
the
that
time.
convenience factor again, right? So if you're gonna have to eat a bar, just at least looking for something that has ingredients that you recognize and a decent amount of
Mhm.
protein, stuff like that, something that actually like is going to hit more than one box. Maybe we're hitting fat, maybe we're hitting fiber, maybe we're hitting protein. Like that would be an ideal if you have to have a grab and go style, right? I think that convenience is a huge important factor to consider because a lot of people think ideal world, but like if you're running around or you're busy or whatever, you're going to eat whatever you're going to eat. So might as well make it the best version of that possible, right? Okay. I think that
Yeah,
was
that's more
mostly
realistic.
everything I wanted to cover. Anyone have anything to add before we head out?
I have one question.
Sure.
Uh, how did it go for you? Are people looking at you funny? Do you get any funny looks as you're walking up and
Okay.
down the aisle?
I was a little nervous, but I walked down aisles that people were mostly not in. And I
Well, it
looked
looks
at
like
you
it's not
guys
too
because it wasn't
busy.
accurate. Yeah, it's not too busy. They're gonna close in like 30 minutes, so no, it wasn't too bad. We
Okay.
did not get through the whole list, so I'm actually surprised. So maybe we'll do this again at some point and we'll really deep dive into some label stuff. And I'll come up with like some in advance. But yeah, if you guys have any label questions, definitely feel free to send those over as well. Bethany, anything you have?
No, I thought you did a really good job.
Cool, thanks. Awesome. Well, this was fun. I think we'll keep
And I
doing
got
some
a
more.
couple of
It's kind
ideas.
of fun.
Yeah.
Yay, good.
Well, and
Okay,
I
cool.
think the imperfect thing, like improving on what you've done before, like you
Yeah.
said, is more important than being perfect all the time.
And that's the cool thing too, is like when you're like upgrading your food, we'll call it, you can make that decision. You don't have to make that decision once, right? Like compare the two labels, decide what's the better of the two, and then that's the thing that you have that you start buying. And then you don't have to make that decision again until you're ready to upgrade. But one thing that I did want to mention with that is that it should be something that you still enjoy. Now, obviously, it's going to take a little bit of time to adapt to some new foods every once in a while. But for example, my breakfast burritos, I think you both know that I eat the same burrito every single day for like the last 10 years. I tried to switch over to some like spinach wrap, something, something keto, I don't know. Like, and it was disgusting. And I stopped eating my burritos. And so I was like, no, I'm going back to old school mission burrito
Hmm.
tortillas because then I can still get everything that I want out of it, even though it's not like maybe the healthiest or the best option. So it still needs to be something that's enjoyable, right? This is starting with what you like and then kind of branching off.
I like it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you both so much for being here, and I will talk to y'all soon.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Have a good one.